evening. Welcome to the 3BeerPod. It's Chris. That one caught me by surprise tonight, Tim.
Smooth intro.
We launched it right out of the blocks here. Season 4, episode 7 of the 3BeerPod. Timmer, welcome to it. You're inside tonight. You've changed studios.
I am in a auxiliary studio for this week's pod. The broadcast studio in the garage is being painted right now by my lovely wife.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Welcome to it. It is the 3BeerPod. Rod Black is going to be our guest. The legendary Rod Black is going to join us here in a couple minutes. He is standing by. So let's get rolling here as quick as possible. We got a bunch of stuff to get to tonight as well. Let's start with our sponsors. Thank you to
the Health House. Okay, so we got a problem here, Cloudy.
Yeah.
The website apparently is wrong. Brought to my attention by our sponsor. And we need to make a correction on it. I heard about it, and but the lovely Shauna over at the Health House, check her out on Facebook. Go to thehealthhouseck.com if you're looking to get healthy, like we are.
That's really funny because that is your wife. So you must have had to hear that all week.
Full disclosure.
healthhouseck.com.
Full disclosure. That's my wife. And our friend over at Realty House, Chris McLeod, crushing home sales. Guy is showing houses left and right. Busy traffic here in southwestern Ontario. If you're looking to buy or sell, look up Chris for home sales with Realty House.
Just closed a deal here tonight, Timmer.
Oh, buddy. Yeah. Crushing deals.
Looking to buy or sell, give us a call. All right, Tim, what you drinking, bud, is what we start with tonight. I've got 3 beers here tonight, Tim, in honor of our guest, Rod Black, okay? So This one, I'm going to start tonight with the Viva La Stout, the chocolate raspberry cookie stout. Very black in color.
Delicious.
Rod Black, okay. Right. Former guest on the podcast, Black Gold Brewery from Petrolia, black.
Nice.
Gold. Okay. And then this one here, maybe a stretch. I grabbed it originally because it was a black can from Wellington Brewery. Nothing Civil IPA.
Nice.
I haven't had this yet. But then I read further, hashtag Black Lives Matter. 100% of the proceeds go to Black Lives Matter. So
yeah, it's a really good beer and a really great cause. So Timmer, good call. Nice theme. I have no theme here tonight, Cloudy.
What do you got?
I got some beers that I've never tried before, so I'm looking forward to having one. Never even heard of this brewery. It is Something in the Water Brewery. It says it's out of Niagara Falls, and this is the Lee River Blackberry Vanilla Sour. So that's an interesting beer for tonight. And then I have the Beardmore Kolsch. This is from Furnace Room Brewery. I've been following them for a while on Instagram. So interested in trying that one. And it's a sweet can. And I lied. I have had this one. It's from Radical Road. It's a Yuzu Pale Ale. This thing is delicious. Highly recommend this one. I'm actually going to start with that one because it's so damn tasty.
Awesome. Let's get into those. And Tim, we usually jump into Beer Buzz right after that, but let's pull our guest in because I know we told him we weren't going to keep him too long here tonight. Let's pull in the legendary Rod Black, who joins us now. Hey, Rod, how you doing?
Hello, boys. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you.
Sounds
very
great.
well.
Nice,
very
nice.
Well.
I'm drinking, there it is,
nice.
World Championship beer and a little my own wine, Rod Black wine. I love all your craft beers there. I'm so glad that you're going to be sending me 27 cases of them. That's awesome. I'm so excited about that. But I'm excited to be here. And by the way, I got lots of time. I'm not really that busy, although the Raptors are playing. And of course, this unfortunate story today with Tiger Woods that has absolutely stunned our sports world. A year after the death of Kobe Bryant, I think everybody was fingers crossed and certainly praying today that nothing of the sort would happen to one of the legendary sports figures again. Just an unbelievable crash. And what we're hearing now is good news, and in terms of as good as it can be, I suppose, and that it wasn't life-threatening, that he is in hospital. I suppose everybody's wondering about his golf career, but I think that's secondary right now. Just worried about Tiger Woods.
It's crazy. I was back at the rink tonight for the first time with my son in about 2 months, and that's all the dads were talking about. And I hadn't heard it up to that point. So yeah, pretty wild story for sure. Rod, we're really excited to have you on. We've had some legendary broadcasters and people on the podcast. We've been lucky to have some, and you're one of the names that we've talked about getting on because.
I knew what you're going to say. You're going to say we have legendary broadcasters, and unfortunately, none of them could make it tonight. So Rod, we got you.
No, you've been up there for sure. Rod, your story is wild. You're from the Winnipeg area.
Yeah.
And you start off very young, involved in hockey, and then eventually we know you as figure skating, football, basketball, golf. I'm missing one in there too. Beer, you're on our TVs. We know you. My dad even commented that he was looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It's well, I can tell you, I've been really lucky and privileged. I think every single day, I have to thank somebody for giving me an opportunity to work in a business that I don't consider a job. I love what I do, and I honestly, I guess if I ever wrote a book, and probably should have been thinking about writing one because we've been doing nothing for the last year. It would probably be something. The title would be something like, "God, I love what I do," and I have, and I've been so lucky. It's I've started at a young age. I used to do impressions and stuff on a radio station back in Winnipeg when I was really, really young, and 9 and 10 years old, and then I was still playing sports and. I had a great opportunity to become a roller rink DJ of all things. And I lived in kind of the Scarborough of Winnipeg, and nothing against Scarborough. I love Scarborough, but where I lived, it was the East End, like Scarborough. It was Scarborough without the romance. It was Transpoda. And I had a chance to work in roller rink. I did all this stuff. I honestly thought maybe getting into radio someday. I was still playing sports, and I got my dream job when I was just turning 18. And unfortunately, for some, I guess I've been doing it for a long time now. This is I'm into my 40th year of broadcasting, and I can honestly say that I love it as much today as I did back then, and get as intoxicated with the games and have that same kind of passion that I had when I was young. And you live in the toy department. That's what it is. It's sports. Unfortunately, we have stories like we had today, and of course last year, and all. There are tragic stories as well, and hard stories that you have to deal with. And I appreciate those stories, but really, we do scores and we do numbers and we watch players and we watch great athletes, male and female. And the best of all is when you get a chance to do an Olympics, for instance, and you get to go to places around the world and you watch great Canadians perform at the highest level. To me, it gives me goosebumps when I say stuff like that.
Well, there's so many angles we could talk about. So hockey was your in, right? That was where you started.
Oh yeah, I loved. Well, yeah, I loved hockey. I'm still a hockey head. I still play a lot. And my dream. I think when I was a kid growing up, I was so lucky to get a chance at 9 and 10 years old I ran away from home, if you can believe it. I don't think I've ever told anybody this story. Really? I ran away from home. My dad was working for a company called BACM Construction. They had just bought the Winnipeg Jets. They were going to the World Hockey Association. I love the fact you're drinking beer. I should be drinking something right now. And so that was like 1971. And there was a rumor that Bobby Hull was going to be signed by the Winnipeg Jets, and it was going to leave the Chicago Blackhawks. And this place where my dad worked was just down the block, maybe 2 blocks from our house. So my younger brother, he was 2 years younger. I told him the night before, my dad kind of gave us, "Hey, Bobby Hull's going to be there tomorrow." And we ran away from home, and I packed a picnic lunch and we stayed outside. this construction company, and there was no Bobby Hull all day long. And I thought, my dad is absolutely wrong on this one. And then sure enough, I got a chance to see him and meet him. And I honestly wore 9 for such a long time because he was such a hero to me, growing up in Winnipeg, the Golden Jet. And I really honestly wanted to be a pro hockey player at a young age. Unfortunately, they wanted me to be a stay-at-home winger. And they told my coaches said, "Rod, tonight, can you please stay at home?" And so, And so, and then I played basketball. I played all these sports. But yeah, hockey was, and I got a chance to host the Jets broadcasts at a young age and be around high-profile superstars. I got a chance to get to know Wayne Gretzky, who was on that Mount Rushmore of sport. And to watch Gretzky annihilate our team, to watch Gretzky and Lemieux in an unbelievable era of hockey. And then to watch Dale Howardchuk, who came in as a rookie. Well, I was a rookie broadcaster, and to just admire him as a hockey player and a person. God rest his soul. He passed away this year, from cancer. And, he was such a great person, and he meant so much to Winnipeg. And so, I got a chance to get in at a very young age, and I never took it for granted, though. Sometimes you get in, and I would tell anybody, any of the kids out there, I'm sure you guys get it too. Like, how do you become a broadcaster? Well, now, how do you become a broadcaster? Just get a computer and have a podcast.
Yeah.
And you guys got a very creative one, but podcasts I say to people, are like buttholes. Everybody's got them now. So everybody's got one. So, but go out there and just don't have a podcast. I'm sure that's what you guys, you want to make it the best broadcast or podcast possible. So I never took it for granted. And at a young age, when, my buddies were out at night, I was working 4 to midnight every day for, 5 or 6 years. And I'd work to 3 or 4 in the morning, culling highlights and starting a plays of the week segment. And I really, it was like, for me, it was like being a professional athlete. It really was. I just knew I had to take it really seriously, because even though you get in at a young age, you could leave at a young age as well. So again, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of great mentors, a lot of people I've learned from. And again, the love the unwavering, unfettered love that I have for sports, watching games, game in and game out. I'm sure you guys probably have a question. What's your favorite sport to cover? And I always say the same answer every time. Whatever tomorrow is. What's the next one?
Well, scratch that question.
That's the way I've always treated it.
That's hilarious. And what's funny is, Rod, is so I'm in broadcasting on a much lower scale. I used to work till midnight too, but then I'd go to the bar.
Well, by the way, I should have mentioned that. That's what I used to do as well. And I used to meet my buddies. And it was also that during that era, guys, it was a very different era when I got in the 80s. It wasn't like now with social media and, everybody knowing what everybody does or wanting to know or taking pictures. There was a fraternity amongst broadcasters and athletes. You never tried to get too close, but everybody was still kind of your buddy and your friend. And you could carve them as much as you want. And you could criticize. And I think the ones that have remained friends knew that I had to criticize them, but you didn't have to carve them. And you didn't have to know everything about them. It was different back then. Thank God we never had social media back then. I think everybody, but at the same time, it was just different. And to be a broadcaster, then to be, honestly, I was broadcasting at a young age among my heroes, and then realizing, and I think this is probably, where you probably get it too, is that, you can go out and have fun and do all these things you want to do, but you have to take it seriously, and you don't have to take yourself seriously. But at the same time, you realize how human all of these athletes are. And I'm sure you guys have discovered that in your podcast here, that you've been doing, is that, you are what you are. And you can't fool anybody. I mean, that's who you are. And that's what I got to learn most about covering all the great ones. And I've been so fortunate and lucky to cover the Mount Rushmore of sport.
Our theme here is good beer, good people, good stories. And that's what it is. It's just, we have a beer and we're sitting down talking to people. We've had athletes on, and they're just normal people, and they've got good stories. Yeah. That's what we're trying to do here.
I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to throw it back at you. What's the most amazing thing you've heard that you can remember from your show? Because you probably had a few beers. What's the most amazing thing that you have heard as far as a good or great story from some of the people that you've been around?
Oh shit, that's a good one.
I was getting interviewed by Rob Black tonight. I got nothing.
Welcome to the One Beer broadcast here.
We had a couple. So I think we had Ron McLean on in our first season, and
great guy.
It all comes down to connections, and he can connect. So, and he's just dropping names, and Oh, you're from Southwestern Ontario, Chatham, Canada. Hey, oh, Todd Warner. You got a brewery down there. And he just started dropping.
I'm one and up Ron McLean then. Shaylin Bourne.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Throw that one. I used to host the Chatham Sports Dinner. Ronnie, did you ever go out to Chatham? No, you sat in your Hockey Night in Canada studio with your buddy there. Tell you something right now, folks. Gotta love that guy, Ron. We're not going to Chatham there, Chatham. I'll tell you that right now. No, you sat in your studio, Ron. I'm only kidding. I love it.
That's awesome.
You know what's so funny about Ron? Talking about when I started, like, how it worked is the broadcasts across Canada, the hockey broadcasts were all owned by Molson, Molstar Communications and Olmeyer Communications. And every Canadian team had its own broadcast, and you went around. And I'll never forget how generous Ron was. He was a young broadcaster at the same time as well. He was a weatherman, just turned broadcaster, and he was doing the Flames games. And, again, that's how you connected, and he'd bring this stuff in. I remember some of the other young broadcasters that were there, but Ron's abilities to walk and talk and that weather that weather forecasting, the work he did there, because you don't operate on a script, served him well through the years. I mean, Ron McLean is truly one of the great ones in our business. Love that guy.
Yeah,
I was only kidding about that.
In case he tunes in.
Don't tweet that. Don't tweet that. What the hell? Who cares?
We could talk to you. We could talk to you for 2 hours. We don't want to keep you for 2 hours.
I don't care. Again, I'm not that busy. And I want to see, again, because I'm not drinking. I want to see you guys absolutely get paled here. I want to see how you keep going down and down and down. I want you to get down to a Foster Brooks level.
That's the funny part. It's a 3BeerPod, but I've never actually finished 3 beers in this podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I hope you get good then. And by all means, don't. The good thing is you're at home. You don't have to drive anywhere, so that's good.
Bingo. So you get to the big stage, and we've got a couple clips here we could play for you. But hello, Canada. When you say that just it's just you're talking to Canada, either the Olympics and the Jays World Series, or welcoming the Raptors to Canada. As that camera light comes on, you say hello, Canada. Do you go, holy shit, I'm talking to the entire country right now?
Yeah, I don't even know when it first started. I probably said it a long time ago, and just because I realized I was, and it probably goes back to when I came to CTV in 1990 and started broadcasting across the nation. And I actually think, you know what, the first time I ever said that was at a Canadian Open broadcast. And it was before I came to CTV, and I remember saying, hello, Canada, we're at the Canadian Open at Glen Abbey. And I guess it's through the years I've continued to say it. I just think it makes. I know we have some friends from the United States who tune in, or around the world. I'm sure you probably have people from the United States tuning in right now, and for them, I will talk a little slower. I'm only kidding. But I love. But I will say I am a true-blooded, red-blooded Canadian. I love. And the beauty of, and I'm sure Ron said this too, and what people who had on the from the broadcast side, if we've had a chance to travel across our country, and people always say, "Oh, you get to travel around the world." Yeah, we do. I love the fact that we have traveled around the country, coast to coast to coast, and an opportunity to see every region and every province and every city. I envy Ron for doing, the Hockey Day, and they did those hockey days. Those are great. We did it with the Canada Games, and we've had an opportunity through Hockey Canada to do the small places like Castlegar, Humboldt a few years ago when I had a chance to go and cover the Broncos. And again, you get a sense of how big our country is, but how small our country is, and how great the people in our country are. And I really get a sense of that over the last year. We've gone through such a tough time, you guys. This has been a year in our lives that I hope everybody has been able to reconnect with their own, because it's so easy to just get so down and to sit inside and maybe not do as much as you should. I always say use every day to get better. Don't be bitter. Get better. And on the other side of this, we're going to get through it. Things will be better. And I think we got a sense of our country. Hello, Canada, through the last year, and the nurses and the doctors and our officers and our army. We sometimes don't think about them until, we're in a tragic situation or a panic situation, a crisis. I think we should value them a little more, especially after what we went through the last year.
With "Hello Canada" being such a catchphrase, was there ever a chance though for you to look down at the U.S.? You've had success in Canada. It always seems to be the goal. And we've had Jay on, right? Was on the show before. And
Jay's a great guy,
hilarious guy. But he
Did
said,
he swear?
"You know what? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did."
Yeah.
Yep.
I will tell you, there's not a chance I'm going to swear on this podcast. I do not do that shit. That's
never coming out of my head now.
There you go.
So Jay had the opportunity, Jay and Dan at the time had the opportunity to get down to Los Angeles, and he said, you have to take it. There's an opportunity. Was there ever a chance for Rod Black to hello US, or was there ever a chance to do that? Yeah,
actually, before I came to a couple of times before I came to Toronto to take the CTV job, there was a really good chance that I would have gone down to possibly work with the Kings broadcast team. I had been looking at a couple of opportunities, and then when I came to Toronto, truth be known, I actually took a job because I thought I could do. See, anybody who knows me knows I love to do too many things at once. I'd rather call a game tonight, game tomorrow, game in the afternoon. One day I remember covering 3 different games and a boxing match in between. So I love all that stuff. So I thought I could go down. I took the Tampa Bay Lightning play-by-play job in their first year when they were becoming this franchise. So myself and Ron Gretzky were named the play-by-play team. And I hadn't officially cleared it with anybody yet. But I didn't think I'm a contracted employee. I thought, you know what, I could do both. And then frankly, I knew CTV would say, hey, fine, that's good. You get to do hockey, because we weren't that busy at the time. And it was the other way around, is that Tampa went like, oh, man, you're going to be busy up there. How are you going to be able to fly back and forth? So Phil Esposito, a great friend of mine, just celebrated his 79th birthday the other day. Nice. Great friend of mine who actually hired me through, got to know each other through the years, did some work together. When I told him he wasn't a great friend anymore, he didn't talk to me for about 7 years until I started doing a radio show at Gretzky's. We're great buds now again. And I know I think he was just a little chafed that he thought I stood him up. I didn't. But yeah, we still get a chance. Many of us still get a chance to work down south, but the grass is not always greener. And like I said, I've really loved what I've been able to the journey I've been able to go on, from, local sports to national sports, even national news at Canada AM. You look at, I guess the only thing you look at, it is a different zeros. You see guys down there, and I should say guys, men and women down there in the United States who are making a ton of cake. They're honestly doing some jobs that I would consider, that are like our job would be considered a little higher grade, and yet they're making a ton of money. But that's never been a factor for me. I think I've always remained loyal to CTV for sure, and TSN, and I've really, like I said, I love Canada. I love my country. I love my country, and that's why I say hello, Canada.
I'm not gonna lie, Rod. When your voice came through, it was just like childhood memories up till tuning into the Raptors game on the weekend, and hearing your voice is awesome. My wife is a huge figure skating fan. Was a figure skater herself. Is a figure skating coach still. So you were the most exciting guest that we've had on the podcast. So I wanted to throw that out there as well. But she said the question that she wanted to know was, what's on your broadcast bucket list? What you've done so many things, so many events, so many things. What's on your list that you haven't done yet that you're like, man, I want to get this off my bucket list?
Well, that's a great question, and I have a very emotional response to that. I don't want to tear up here. But I think I've actually just accomplished that by being on with you guys tonight.
Like, all right,
89 cases. Bucket list. I honestly, I've been so, again, fortunate to, and I probably should have chronicled a lot of, sometimes when in our business, you think, oh, you're going to get there next year and then you lose rights or whatever. I've had a chance to go to the Kentucky Derby. I've had a chance to go to the Indy 500 and in some of those and feel it. I mean, my first assignment at CTV was the Roses Parade in the Rose Bowl game, which was incredible. Then they decided, well, why are we sending them down there? They can do that from studio. So it was like, I was living the pandemic life back then when I was doing the Roses Parade. But I would say, I mean, are the obvious ones. You like to call, I've been fortunate to host the World Series in 92, 93. Clearly, I don't think anybody was hosting the World Series in 92, 93, then got a chance to host the NBA championship years and years later. But I would say that I guess maybe whatever's next. I would have loved to always work and I did host from our studio, the NCAA March Madness. I thought that to me is, but I will tell you, and this is no word of a lie, you guys, I get a kick. As great as those big events are, the Olympics and the Masters and the World Series and the World Championship and the Stanley Cup and all of those big names, I get as big a kick out of covering amateur sport. I get a kick out of covering the Canada Games, out of that some people might not think, some events that people might not think are as high profile, and I consider them all high profile. I always say, I remember when I was growing up and there wasn't the ability to, and I played at sports at a pretty high level, a lot of different sports. Captain of the miniature golf team in high school. It was a really
good for you.
Yeah. I was a javelin catcher. But I played, and I remember thinking, wouldn't it be cool if I ever got a chance? And I did have a chance to get on local television, because I think local television does inspire kids. I think TV inspires kids to take up a sport. I really, truly believe it. You can't tell me that someone just walks into a skating rink, for instance, and starts figure skating, loves skating, and decides to become a champion. Yeah, they might love skating. You get inspired by watching people. 100%. You get inspired by basketball, by a Steve Nash or a Vince Carter, or you get inspired by Jamal Murray, and you get inspired by Gretzky and the Sidney Crosby. And, if you're in the United States, like an Austin Matthews, could you imagine kids now watching him and saying, you know what, if he did it, I could do it. Marie-Philippe Poulin, women's hockey, same thing. Haley Wickenheiser, imagine how many young girls they inspired. Anyway, so I always said, and I loved local television sports. We had a channel that I actually didn't work for at the time that used to cover games locally. And I watched them when I was a kid every week. And my heroes actually were local athletes. My hero, I don't even know if he knows it, is a guy named Martin Riley, a basketball player who was playing at the University of Manitoba for the Bison. And I used to wear his basketball number. I used to wear 14. And I followed him all the way, because he was my Steve Nash at the time when I started dribbling and wanting to be the next one. And so I always said, if I ever got in that position, I would want to know as much about those kids, because that broadcast, even though it's might be one broadcast for that kid in any sport, whatever it is, and we treat the Canada Games that way, they may never get on television again. Probably a 99% chance they will never will. You have as much information about them. You treat them with respect. You make their parents proud. You make the kids proud, and you make sure you say the kid's name and you say it properly. Yeah. And so that's always been my inner mantra. I always remember covering the Canadian Open golf. I said to the producers, let's make sure that every Canadian gets seen. And some of our early productions, we did. We went out and shot just even 5 seconds. That gets that person some sponsorship. That 5 seconds will keep them playing. And I can tell you, every athlete has gone through that. So skating. I remember a few years ago, I had a cousin who was a skater. And I remember watching broadcasts, and I was hoping to see her. And because she was just below that top 5, which I'll be critical of sometimes of even us, we don't show only the best ones because of timing. Mm-hmm. I want to see that whole scoreboard. I want to see all of the people. Even if it's on a scoreboard, your name's there. That's important to a kid. That's important to a family. It can be life-changing, not so much in sports. But imagine rolling that tape back years later, saying to your kids or your grandkids, look what mom or dad or, granny or grampy did. Look at what we did. That's important to me. That really, really is important to me. It always has been. It always will be.
Rod, I've got like 17 other questions here that I don't know it's too long.
Oh man, you got 2 more beers to drink.
That's true. That's true. Canada AM. So getting to call sports is really cool, but obviously diversify yourself. You get to host a morning show on TV. And it wasn't your first day, your second, or your first week for sure that 9/11 happened. Yeah. Right in the middle of your show.
Yeah, second day. It was we had been doing it. We had been doing it. I had been doing it for the summer, and I did not honestly. I was filling in at the time. They were going through a transition period. I know Lisa LaFlamme was going to be the next anchor. I think they were kind of grooming and hoping that I would take this job. And I will be honest with you, I had no intention. I loved filling in. I wasn't busy. And I told you before, come in the morning. And I was doing sports. Then they said, well, come in. You could talk of, there's cooking segments, entertainment, politics. I said, yeah, well, it's a feel good show. I said, if I'm coming on that show, it better be feel good. It's the only show I said at the time. It's a little dated now. In a half an hour, you can talk to Wendell Clark, Joe Clark, and Terry Clark. It's Clark AM. But that's what I loved about it. So eventually they broke me down. And I remember the president of our company at the time, Yvonne Fitzon, he grinded me pretty good. And he said, listen, I really like you to take this. I said, here's one thing. I'll do it, but I'll do it for a couple of years, but I want to keep doing sports. I love what I do at night. So I'll tell you guys, it was crazy. So in the summer, I was doing Jays and CFL, then coming flying right back the next day, doing Canada AM, getting very little sleep. My first child was born here. And then that was in 2000, as we transitioned to 2001, that's when we took over Lisa and myself and a new team, along with Jeff Hutchison, who I just loved working with, and Lisa. We became the new Canada AM team. And so our second day, I do scores. I work in the toy department. The next day, I'm sitting there talking with a correspondent about a TV guy correspondent about the new shows that are coming on for the fall, and it's about 5 to 9, maybe a little bit earlier than that. Can't recall. I'll just remember the voice in my ear from my producer, and for whatever reason, we had a camera trained on the World Trade Center that day because we had a guest in the next hour coming from New York. So we had that feed, and they actually saw the plane and immediately said, Rod, a plane's flown into the World Trade Center. So I had to tell Canada, a plane has flown into the World Trade Center. And again, at the time, we had all thought accident. I remember the Empire State Building, and crazily, only days before I saw a little documentary on the time that an airplane had flown into the Empire State Building, and I immediately thought that. I thought, I even saw the hole there. We only saw the hole, and I thought maybe a small plane. So I go to break. We come back. We're thinking, we got somebody from the FAA right away. Our team at Canada AM, I got to tell you, that day was incredible. They're always incredible, but to be able to get the resources that we had, planes there, or the hole is there. We have an FAA guy on. We're thinking about, how they're going to put the fire out, potential fire, water bombers, hoses, firemen getting up and down. We knew it was serious. We didn't know what it was. And then all of a sudden, as we are talking, Lisa and I are talking.
Wow.
The other flies through. And at first, I think maybe Lisa even, I can't remember, I thought it was a replay. And I think I said, that's no replay.
Wow.
That's live. This is, and how could you have two? There's no coincidence. You can't have two accidents. We honestly thought there was some sort of air traffic control problem. It was a bright and clear morning.
Yeah.
So then the planes fly in, and we were on the air for a long time. Watched I still, honestly, I probably have PTSD from that day, just because of watching it and broadcasting the towers falling. To me, that was, and I knew people in that tower. I knew people on the planes. Didn't know at the time. There was no internet, so we had a wire service beside us, a printed wire service that just kept dinging and dinging. Sandy Ronaldo, God love her, news anchor, was there in the studio for a segment that was upcoming. Everybody was pushed back. I'll never forget, we had 50 people watching this whole time, and their faces were shocked. They were in absolute shock. And you had to hold it together. It's emotional. And then Sandy's giving us the information, and you're trying to go through this glut of information that most of it was wrong. Like a lot of, planes are flying to Chicago, planes are flying to Vancouver. FAA are the Air Force is watching the planes flying to through Vancouver, and there probably were watches. And then we were on all day all day long. And here, so long story short, this show that I, ostensibly took to wake up in the morning and probably provide viewers with some cheerful stuff for the next year. For sure it was less than cheerful. We tried to make it the best we could, but we talked. That was a very scary time in all of our lives, and it reminds me, I guess, a little bit of now, but I think the fear factor honestly back then was even worse, because we all thought we were being attacked. You didn't have to be American to think that. We thought that in Canada too. And go ahead.
I was going to say, I was broadcasting on a small market AM radio station that no one listened to, and I was freaking out. I can't imagine on your end.
Oh, it was
talking to Canada.
Yeah, it was utterly terrifying, mystifying. You didn't understand what was going on. And I think in the grand scheme of things, there was some gratification from our team, the way we held together during that time as a broadcast unit, and had to provide the stories and the pictures, and we had pictures. And again, immediately, we had this, our producers were able to, in the next half hour, we knew it was a terroristic act. We didn't know if it was domestic terrorism, what it was. We had a gentleman named Alan Bell, who was a former member of CSIS. Wow. And I remember in the summertime, when I was co-hosting, we had actually had an interview about, the next stage of terrorism around the world. And this group called, and at the time there were varying differentiations of definition, Al-Qaeda, and they also called him at the time Osama bin Laden. And so I think we were able to get Alan Bell, who was down the street, and he is now a security expert, who knew everything about Al-Qaeda and the networks and everything that was going on. Remember, there was no dark web at the time. There was no internet. It just started. And he was able to come into studio, and he knew right away who it was, how it happened. And we started to piece everything together. I know Lisa went down the next morning. I had a chance, I think it was about a month and a half later, I had to go down of all things to do an interview with Lenny Kravitz after that. But I was able to get down to the site. Still eerie. I still smell the pungent, it's almost rubber that I smelt. Like it was like a huge, being around a tire fire. But it smelled of death, honestly. And then the NBA All-Star game was also there. And I was in Philadelphia. I just wanted to drive over and honestly, I wanted just to thank the police officers that were there. They didn't even know any of them. I just wanted to get down there. We were able to, but it's still it's a very haunting day. Certainly not like watching a sports event.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
But it was a day that I think none of us will ever forget.
Never. Rod, we'll each have one more question for you. We don't have to keep you here all night. I got to ask you about your connection with Charles Barkley. How does Rod Black, voice across Canada, connect to NBA superstar Charles Barkley?
Yeah, well, we've been really good friends for a long time. It actually goes back to 1992, the first time I met him. I was hosting the Olympics in Barcelona for CTV, and the Dream Team had a big press conference at this amphitheater. It was near Football Club Barcelona. So I went down there. It was incredible. Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Ahmad Rashad. I was a big Minnesota Vikings fan, truth be told. But I'm not really a fan of anybody, but growing up in Winnipeg, you cheer for the Vikings. Yeah. It was really cool for me to see Ahmad. Basketball for us was still a pipe dream in Canada. People had talked about the NBA, but I'll never forget bumping into Charles in the lobby. And he was a big name. I don't think he was as big as he was now. I mean, he's certainly not in stature. So Charles and I don't think we had a beer or anything, but he said, Canada, I love Canada. Anyway, fast forward a couple of years, 94 World Championships, Raptors are coming to Canada. We know that we have the rights, national network rights. I get to be the host and the play-by-play guy for for the NBA. And then, of course, Leo's my partner. And, Leo and I go back a long way. We're best pals, even though he tries to gas me out of a studio many, many times. But Charles, the story is, and I'm sure when you had Leo on, is that Leo was the draft pick in 1983, first round pick. And the year later, they had to trade Leo away so they could get Charles Barkley to become a Philadelphia 76er, essentially. Anyway, so now Charles gets in the NBA, and Leo's connection, and it's funny. It's actually a beer story. It truly is a beer story. So Charles and I, Leo and I and Charles hung out a lot when in 95, 96, whenever he came to town. But he also loved golf. Charles loved golf, and Leo knew I was a big golf guy, and I was playing in a lot of tournaments. So anytime Charles came to town, he loved Toronto. He would play at the courses, so we go golfing together. But we also played in Michael Jordan's Celebrity Invitational out at Lionhead. And here's how the beer story comes in. There was a Labatt's rep at the time named Chris Bundy, who was a funny guy. And the celebrities had caddies, and Chris was the caddy for Charles, and Chris would just give it, because Charles actually was a really good player, you guys. I'm going to tell you, he was honest to goodness, a 6 handicap, and he didn't have that, whatever you call it, that
weird,
like it's like a seizure.
Good way to put it. Yeah,
I will tell you, he's a great player still. Like from 150 yards in, he's dynamite. Anyway, so Chris is just giving it to Charles, and Charles, is a chirper. Chris is a chirper. Man, stop bugging me, man. Stop bugging me. And Chris would go, you are the worst player ever. I'm out of here. And he put his bag down. They were arguing. He threw his bag down. Charles kind of chased him down, grabbed him, said, come on, man, come on. I'm just kidding. And they became really, really good friends.
That's awesome.
And unfortunately, Chris passed away. He was killed in a car accident. And Charles and I they set up a foundation for Chris and his family, and Charles would come back and play in that. We became again closer and closer and closer. And I can tell you how generous he is. He'd write checks for people. I know Chris's daughter. He helped her with her college fund. I remember him saying to me, and he gave me a large check. I won't tell you how much it was for. He said, "Make sure Paige gets this. Don't tell anybody." Wow. And that's Charles Barkley. And he's the most generous, kind, wonderful. He's an American, but I consider him a Canadian. and I spent my honeymoon with him. I didn't marry him. My wife and I, you know the picture. And then he was the first person that when he retired, that he said he was going to retire, told me, and I got on a plane and went down to Houston, and no, it wasn't Houston. I think it might have been Boston. I can't remember exactly where it was. And we did an interview that night, and he announced his retirement. He just couldn't. His knees were shot. But we've been great friends. I love the guy. He is who he is. Some people, he's loud, but I can tell you guys right now, whenever he's around people, he just loves to hear from people, and he loves having conversation, engaging conversation. He loves fun. He loves to be chirped back. I think we get along because we probably have the same kind of sense of humor. I give it to him. He gives it to me. and I love the guy. I really, truly love the guy. He's larger than life, and what you see is what you get. And as I said before, he's the most generous person I think I've ever met.
Cool. That's really cool. Tim, awesome. You got the last one here. What do you want to ask Rod Black?
Oh man, there's so many here. I guess the one you've thrown so many names out there tonight. And
I don't want to. I'm sorry. You know what? I hate name dropping. I really do hate name dropping. I told Drake that earlier today.
I guess you've covered so many sports. You've hosted so many things. The GOAT title gets thrown out there all the time in different sports. Who's the GOAT, or who's the one that you are so thankful that you've been in their presence to see them compete in any sport across the board? Who's the one that you're like?
I'm not in my speed, so hang on a second. I'll tell you in a sec. I'll show you. I'm going to show you.
Oh, what do we got here?
So in my mind, I mean, obviously, I think I'll tell you who my Mount Rushmore is, first of all. My Mount Rushmore, and unfortunately it's supposed to have 4, but I think I got 5. So my Mount Rushmore in golf is Tiger Woods.
Yep.
For sure. In football, it used to be Joe Montana, which I have a Niners helmet there. It's Tom Brady for sure. I think that's undeniable, especially what he did this past year. In boxing, it's Muhammad Ali, the GOAT for sure. In baseball, this might surprise you a little bit, but I'm a huge Babe Ruth fan, and just the aura that he carried and what he did. Look at the numbers. There never will be another player like Babe Ruth. No. I mean, to do with with that girth on him as well. But he was. Quick story. The last pandemic, he was a member of the Boston Red Sox. The Army came back, spread the Spanish flu in the United States. They went into a quarantine. True story. Thousands were dying. They went through their second wave. They shut it down. Everybody was wearing masks. And then all of a sudden, in the fall of 1918, there was a huge spike in the Boston, New York areas because of this young baseball player named Babe Ruth, who people were clamoring to see. It's a true story. And if you go back to then, you could see the people in the background. I never even looked at it before. Many games in the pictures, you'll see them wearing masks, which is unbelievable. And then, of course, 1919 is start to clear, and then he got traded. So Babe Ruth is up there. Michael Jordan. I know LeBron James is getting close, but Michael Jordan is my second GOAT of all time on my list. I got to see him. I got to call games. There was no one like him. I couldn't imagine him if he utilized the 3-point ball like the guys today do. If he played in today's game, I'm going to tell you right now, he'd average 50.
Wow.
Because he would learn how to hit the fit. He would. Yeah. It's not that he wasn't a good 3-point shooter. Why would you ever take it before? Nobody ever took it.
Yeah.
And the greatest of all time is this guy right there.
Wayner.
Yeah. I think he's the greatest. I think in my mind, from what I've seen, Wayne Gretzky and I've been so lucky through the years to host a lot of events with him and do Q&As with him through TD and through a variety of events just down the road in Kitchener-Waterloo a few years ago. He was there. He's been in London. Some of these big events that he gets to, I've had a chance to get to know him. My best friend on the planet was his first agent, Gus Badali. And just getting to know Wayne and his domination. And then I saw what he did to my local hockey team that I covered. In all honesty, it's one of the reasons the Jets left Winnipeg in the first place. Like they were in the same division. The Jets every year would finish 4th. They would play the Oilers, and they could never get by the Oilers.
It bounced, yeah.
Yeah, and apathy sets in. Ownership, gets a little it was an ownership situation, clearly. But, Wayne Gretzky was incredible. Wayne Gretzky was absolutely incredible. Do I think he was the most talented? I still think Mario Lemieux was a notch more talented offensively. Wayne was an incredible team player, and the vision and the stuff I've seen him do away from the game, the charity work, how he interacts with people. It's hard to be Wayne Gretzky. So that Mount Rushmore, think about all of those people on Mount Rushmore, how hard it must have been, except for Babe Ruth. He loved the adoration and attention. How hard it must be right now for all of those people is social media. Like Tom Brady, he can't even have a few beers or a few glasses. The guy can't even go throw the Super Bowl trophy without people criticizing him.
Come on.
But Tiger Woods, the eyes have all been on all of those people. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
But for these eyes, from what I've seen in terms of goats, and there's a herd of goats out there, like on that Mount Goatmore for me. I think Wayne Gretzky is the greatest athlete in a sport that was so hard to dominate, and the amount of points and the amount of goals and the amount of class. And had he been able to play more, which he could have, had his neck not been as damaged as it was, he probably would have won another championship. He would have scored more points. He would have been, he could imagine him playing till 40 or 43. How many more points he could possibly have put up. I don't know what you guys feel, but to me, and this thing's, I got this a few years ago, and it's one of my, I don't collect a lot of things. What you see is what you get. I mean, I give a lot of my stuff if I get, because I like jerseys and that don't mean a whole lot. Pictures mean a lot to me, but this one means a lot to me that I got. And a few years ago when I got this, I come home and I got 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl. And at the time, my boys were playing hockey. They were 10 and 8, my youngest and my second youngest. Actually, my youngest boy too. He was out there. They're all playing road hockey, and they had on. And I'm driving up, and I look.
Oh no! Oh no!
He's got the Gretzky helmet on, the Howard Chuck gloves, the Gordie Howe stick. Come on, and in Unionville, Ontario, and I could have given them crap, and I could have yelled because the stuff is probably valuable. I'm sure it is. I would never ever sell it or get rid of it. And I wouldn't want it nicked up, but I just thought, you know what? Dang it, man.
That's awesome.
If these kids could learn about who these people are. By the way, our new generation doesn't really know a lot about a lot of these guys and gals. That's why we have YouTube. Go watch. Go watch them. 99 in my time. 99 will always be number 1.
Can't argue that. He's a goat for the pod at some point. We're gonna get later to talk about his brewery and all that jazz. Rod, thank you so much. I'm looking here. We got a pile of things we could ask you, but we'll have to line it up again maybe in the future. We'll get you back on again.
Next time I got to bring beer.
Sounds good.
We're gonna send you beer next time, okay? So you can join in. All right.
It was a great pleasure being with you guys. Continued success. I heard great things about what you do, and it's obviously great. I love the background there with a. I'm a little thirsty, so I got to go watch the Raptors playing right now, and I'm gonna have a couple.
All right,
get into it. Rod Black, ladies and gentlemen, there he is, joining us here on the podcast tonight. Rod, we appreciate that. That is damn cool. That is one of the coolest interviews we've had in a long time. Rod Black from CTV. Wow, that's on our Rushmore of guests.
Rod Black, man, he came firing in, and as soon as he hit my ear hole here, I was like, oh my god, I'm talking to Rod Black. It's amazing.
Yeah,
listen to him every week with the Raptors games, man. That's awesome. Rod Black, great guest.
Gonna save his notes here because we'll have to get him on again at some point. Timmer, there's a couple things.
I got 5 more questions here.
Me too. I want to play a couple things though that we had set aside for Rod. I just didn't want to interrupt him, but. This is the guy, 1992. I remember, here I am, 92. I'm 16, 17 years old, sitting in my basement on a black and white TV watching that.
From Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, it is Game 6 between the Atlanta Braves and the Toronto Blue Jays. And welcome, everyone, to the world's largest shopping center. Yeah, they say the show must go on, and so it does tonight. Welcome back to the show. I'm Rod Black. Hello, Canada. For a special pregame report, we are here tonight in right field. A few moments ago, we almost lost this trophy because of a home run that was hit during Blue Jays batting practice. But
isn't that wild? That is so wild. That is so wild. And okay, I gotta play this. I don't want to fill it all up here, but 1995. Is that when the Raptors joined the NBA? Never a big basketball fan, but I was watching because obviously you got to watch the first game, right? And this is what it pans to inside the.
Welcome live to Toronto, Ontario. The Sky Dome, the site tonight of what will be many, many more basketball nights in Canada. The home opener, the season opener for the New Jersey Nets. The home opener for the Toronto Raptors here on CTV in front of 30,000 people here at Sky Dome. And good evening, everybody. I'm Rod Black, and welcome to the NBA on CTV. A great night for basketball in Canada. The Raptors and Nets here at CTV.
Wow!
Amazing. Can you imagine seeing a Raptors game at Sky Dome? That's something.
That's wild, eh? That is wild. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Rod Black is awesome, dude. I could have talked Raptors with him for 10 minutes probably. But
we didn't even get into him and his Jack and Leo and Matt.
We didn't even talk about enough figure skating for my wife.
Oh.
So we're going to have to bring him back on. I'm sure he would come back on. He'd like to have some beers with him. We'll grab him. maybe him and Leo come on together, and we'll see how she goes.
I don't know if we have enough time to have them both on at the same time. You know what we'll do? We'll reach out to some of our beer friends. We'll get Rod some beer sent to his house. We'll have him back on again at some point. That is really cool. Rod Black, legend of all Canadian sports broadcasts. We've had some really good ones on here. Timmer, we don't have a ton of time. I don't know what direction you want to go here. If you want to wrap her up or you want to talk more.
You got what? You had something there. We got something that's dated, don't we?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's get into it. We're gonna get some beer buzz, and
we'll wrap it up after. We'll do a little beer buzz, then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, let's do some beer buzz. So the Tragically Hip. When you talk about goats from Canada, right? The Tragically Hip. They're the Mount Rushmore of Canadian bands. They're at the top of that. They've filed a lawsuit against Mill Street Brewery, which is a division of Labatt. They allege that Mill Street is trying to pass off on the fame, goodwill, and reputation of the Tragically Hip. Their beer at the 100th Meridian, and we know the song, and I do think we have a little bit of it here. So, why not play some Tragically Hip? You know this tune right here. We all know this tune, right?
100%.
Yeah, so at the 100th Meridian from the Tragically Hip. So the gang over at Mill Street came out with a 100th Meridian beer, and Kingston's Hip is saying, hey, we're not involved in this, and they're kind of using our name to help sell that beer. So
this is a complicated one. So, like, when did that beer come out? Was it like 14 years ago or something? Like, it's been around forever. So why now? That's my question, Hip.
Yeah.
Why? Of course they've been cashing in. They've been selling it forever. I just don't know why now. I just the whole thing confused me.
It's a little late in the game. You're right.
Yeah. So I don't like throwing it out there, but the beer's not that good anyway. So I'm not sure.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe finally, a couple of the guys that are left, were finally out there. Like, let's try one of the 100 Meridian beers, and like,
damn! Why are we putting our name on this? Yeah, I don't know. It's very confusing. When I saw the story come out, I was extremely confused by why now. I know they invested a lot, and no speculation here, but I'm speculating. They invested a lot in the cannabis, and I'm not sure if that took off.
Could be.
Maybe they're like, oh, we're gonna need to cash in on something here. Let's go after Mill Street, which is owned by, I don't know, someone big now. So maybe that's
Labatt,
why. Yeah, Labatt. So they're going after Labatt money. Maybe it's a good call on their part just to go after Labatt money. If I could go after Labatt money somehow, I would. I'm not sure how I would, but
we're working on our lawsuit. We'll get that taken care of.
We'll get that taken care of.
I want to play this for you, Tim. In Iceland, they had a game show. I'm not sure what the game show is. I'm not sure because I don't speak Icelandic.
I don't speak ice.
Have you seen this? Where the guy
I have not.
Shit? So he couldn't get his buzzer to work. Watch what happened here.
Bandaríska tenniskona sem vann 12 risamót í einliðaleika á ferli sínum ber eftirnafnið sem við spyrjum um. Og það er tækniskólinn.
King.
Það er rétt svar.
Come on!
Hvað er þetta? Já, ég hugsa að
you weren't watching Get to Better?
I can't believe what like that never happened to Alex Trebek. That never. Can you imagine? Alex Trebek throws down if that happened. Can you just put up the beginning of that clip again?
Bandaríska tenniskona sem vann 12 risamót í einliðaleika á ferli sínum ber eftirnafnið sem við spyrjum um.
That's an interesting group of humans right there.
Yes.
King.
Emil, who's that? Whose turn? My turn?
No, he's not having it. And flip it. Yep.
F this.
I think in the future, you will see the podiums bolted down. That's a hazard. 100%.
That is the future.
Wow.
One more, Timmer, and we'll get out of here because this happened on the weekend. Lake Tahoe, the NHL played an outdoor game.
Yeah.
And they honored some paramedics. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see this. No.
So they some first responders, those that have helped out during the pandemic, and this guy got to wave to the crowd. An early entry for the next Weird Name Hall of Fame, Dusty R. Gooch.
Dusty or Gooch.
That's what it is.
That's
good old Dusty Gooch.
We're getting spoofed on that. Come on, for real?
That's him. Yeah, Dusty made a couple appearances on the broadcast over the weekend.
Did he really?
Dusty Gooch. Wow. Your name Dusty Gooch. What else are you doing on a Saturday afternoon?
Wow. Look at Tahoe, though, eh? That looks like a place to go.
Oh, man. It was beautiful. Did you see the game? They had to delay the game because it was too sunny.
Too sunny. I saw some old school Oakleys being thrown around there. Those look sweet.
And Gary Bettman from the NHL was like, the sun's really coming at us.
You didn't map that out first? Yeah. The sun.
Oh,
damn you, son.
I thought you were going
to play the dude that came out because he was pissed that he got cut off from listening to Barbie Girl.
Oh, who was that guy? Pasternak, David Pasternak.
I got cut off from I don't know what's going to be on when I go back. He was pissed.
Pasternak was getting interviewed, and he chirped to the reporters, "You'll make me miss Barbie Girl." Don't worry.
In those locker rooms, that's something.
Don't worry, Pasta. You get to meet Dusty Gooch.
Dusty or Gooch.
Dusty R. Gooch. All right, Timmer. That's a stellar pod tonight. I'm not going to pat ourselves in the back, but that goes in our goat pod.
100%. We're definitely got to get Rod Black back for part 2 sometime because he was awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll have a few beers and talk to Rod Black again.
That's awesome stuff. Timmer, have a good one. We'll talk again next week, episode 8. Cheers.
See you.